Now, rarely has the West African nation of Ivory Coast seen anything like it. Dozens of EU and African leaders have been gathering in Abidjan to discuss how the two continents can work together to improve their citizens' lives. Both sides have a lot at stake. Although it's fallen substantially, migration has been one of the defining issues. 1.75 million people made the journey to Europe over the last 4 years, with many coming through Africa, even if they started elsewhere. Many Africans have been pushed to leave by poverty, and the EU and its member states have already provided almost $24 billion a year in long-term economic development funding. There are also calls for more bilateral trade between the two continents. Last year, they sold each other over $311 billion worth of goods, with Africa buying more from the EU than the EU bought from Africa. Well, Anna Rosenberg is head of the Sub-Saharan African research practice at Business Advisors Frontier Strategy Group. Hello there, Anna. Thanks very much for joining us. So is the focus at this summit really about economic development rather than aid?
Yes, I think it seems like we're moving into that direction, which is really a game changer, because previously the relationship between the EU and Africa was primarily focused on aid, whereas a lot of other governments, like the Chinese government, was already focused on economic development, meaning doing business. And so it's a good sign, because this will foster the economic development of the region and provide also a lot of opportunities for European businesses.
Obviously, the migration crisis is focusing minds, particularly in Europe. We're here today, 400 rescued off the coast of Libya. But there's no quick fix, is there?
No, we're talking an economic development that takes decades. We need to create infrastructures and sectors that can absorb the massive amount of young people that can work in certain sectors, like manufacturing, for example, but also service sector like tourism. So you need to create these sectors, sometimes from scratch, sometimes you need to accelerate the development of these sectors. Another very important critical area is, of course, agribusiness. It has some huge opportunity, but we're seeing in Sub-Saharan Africa populations grow at a really, really fast pace. So Tanzania alone has increased by 20 million over the last 10 years, which means if you don't create local food processing and in order to feed local populations, you're going to see much more migration happening.
What do multinationals who you advise want to see before they invest?
Obviously, they want to see opportunity materialize. They want to see operating environments improve in order to make sure that when they're putting money down, that it actually benefits them as well, but also, of course, benefits the populations.
And what can governments do as well to fast track all of these infrastructure projects and economic projects needed?
Governments have to create enabling environments. They have to work with the local governments to make sure that, European companies can compete with international companies, like especially Chinese players, for example. So we need easier operating environments, really.
Okay, Anna Rosenberg, many thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Okay, let's check in with the financial markets now. And those Brexit negotiations and news of a possible increase in that divorce bill being agreed by the UK did push up sterling, and that's had an effect on the FTSE 100 because of the inverse relationship. The DAX in Frankfurt is up, and the CAC 40 in Paris as well. You can keep in touch with me or any of the team on Twitter. I'm at BBC Streeter. From all of us here, that's all from World Business Report.